The story takes place in 2157, 32 years after an alien vessel crash landed in the Mojave Desert. The ship belonged to the Kithrin hierarchy, a mid-tier spacefaring civilization that had been testing experimental displacement drive technology. When the prototype catastrophically failed during a test jump, the Kithrins wrote off the vessel as a total loss and abandoned it in what they considered an uninhabited backwater system. They never bothered to retrieve it, assuming the primitive world below lacked the capability to even recognize the wreckage as technology. The Kithrins were wrong. Captain Daniel Wright, a 43-year-old career officer in the United Earth Defense Force, Wright commands the UEDS Valiant, humanity's first fully operational warship built using reverse-engineered alien technology. Calm, analytical, and deeply committed to protecting Earth, Wright carries the weight of knowing that his ship represents humanity's only real defense against potential alien threats. Dr. Lisa Monroe, the 51-year-old director of the Xenotechnology Research Institute in Nevada, Monroe was part of the original team that examined the crashed Kithrin vessel as a young physicist. She has dedicated her entire career to understanding and adapting alien technology for human use. Brilliant but haunted by the knowledge that humanity remains vastly outmatched by galactic civilizations, Admiral Carl Henderson, the 62-year-old commander of Earth's orbital defense network. Henderson is a pragmatic military strategist who oversaw the construction of the Valiant and the integration of alien technology into Earth's defense systems. He understands both the promise and the danger of relying on technology humanity doesn't fully comprehend. Lieutenant Peter Hayes, 28 years old, Hayes serves as the Valiant's chief engineering officer. He represents the new generation of human engineers who grew up studying alien technology and sees possibilities where older generations see impossibilities. Commander Victoria Lang, the Valiant's 36-year-old executive officer, Lang is a decorated combat pilot who transitioned to Capital Ship Command. She brings tactical creativity and a healthy skepticism about over-reliance on untested alien systems. Ambassador Helen Cross, 55 years old, Cross leads Earth's first contact diplomatic corps, a position created in anticipation of eventual contact with alien civilizations. She argues for caution and diplomatic solutions, often finding herself at odds with military leadership. Kithrin Overseer Dravik, a Kithrin military commander who discovers that the vessel his people abandoned decades ago has been transformed into a functional warship by the supposedly primitive humans. His initial disbelief turns to concern, then alarm as he realizes the implications. Act 1. Discovery and Revelation. The story opens with Captain Wright conducting routine patrol exercises in the Valiant near Saturn's orbit. The ship, a massive cruiser built around the salvaged Kithrin displacement core, represents the culmination of 3 decades of human engineering and alien technology integration. Wright reflects on how far humanity has come since the crash, from a species confined to a single planet to one with a small but growing presence in its own solar system. The crew detects an anomaly at the edge of the solar system. Multiple displacement signatures, far more sophisticated than anything in Earth's limited database of alien technology. Admiral Henderson orders the Valiant to investigate while Earth's ground-based defense systems go to maximum alert. Through flashbacks woven into the narrative, we learn the history of the crashed ship. Dr. Monroe, then a young physicist working at a nearby observatory, was among the first to reach the crash site. The Kithrin vessel was damaged beyond repair, its crew dead from displacement drive failure, but its data cores were intact. The ship's computers contained a treasure trove of information, star charts, technical specifications, and most importantly, evidence that Earth existed in a populated galaxy where humanity was utterly unknown and catastrophically outmatched. The discovery sparked a covert global initiative. Rather than announce first contact with a dead alien crew, world governments united to reverse engineer the technology in secret. The Mojave crash site became the Xenotechnology Research Institute, buried under layers of security and misinformation. For 30 years, humanity's best minds worked to understand and replicate Kithrin technology. The displacement drive proved impossible to fully recreate, but human engineers found ways to adapt it. The Valiant couldn't jump between star systems like true Kithrin vessels, but it could make short-range jumps within the solar system, a capability that gave humanity unprecedented tactical mobility in local space. The approaching vessels are Kithrin, a survey fleet conducting routine mapping operations in the galactic frontier. They detect the Valiant and are immediately confused. The displacement signature matches their own technology, but the vessel configuration is completely wrong. When they intercept transmissions from Earth, the confusion turns to shock. The primitive world they had dismissed now hosts a technological civilization broadcasting on quantum frequencies. Overseer Dravik orders his fleet to yellow alert and demands answers from Earth. The first communication between humans and living aliens is tense and awkward. Ambassador Cross handles the initial contact, explaining that Earth found a crashed Kithrin vessel decades ago and has been studying it. Dravik's response is a mixture of bureaucratic irritation and growing concern. The crashed vessel was written off as unsalvageable, but Kithrin law is clear. All hierarchy technology remains hierarchy property. He demands the immediate return of all salvaged materials and technology. When Cross politely refuses, citing salvage rights under Earth's interpretation of maritime law, Dravik is baffled by human audacity. The Kithrin commander decides to investigate the crash site personally. What he finds at the Mojave facility stuns him. The humans haven't just studied the crashed ship, they've stripped it completely and used its components to build their own vessel. More disturbing, they've modified and improved several systems. The displacement core that failed catastrophically under Kithrin engineering now functions reliably in human hands, albeit with reduced range. Dravik reports to Kithrin High Command, triggering a political crisis. The hierarchy operates under strict technological control doctrines. Advanced technology is never shared with lesser civilizations, and the idea that a pre-contact species has acquired and weaponized hierarchy technology is unprecedented. Some in the Kithrin government demand immediate military action to destroy Earth's capability. Others, more cautious, recognize that humanity's ability to reverse engineer complex technology in just 3 decades suggests a dangerous level of adaptability. The situation deteriorates when a Kithrin destroyer squadron arrives in Earth orbit, sent to enforce the High Command's demand for technology surrender. Admiral Henderson refuses, deploying the Valiant and Earth's limited orbital defense network. The standoff is tense but non-violent, both sides aware that actual combat would be catastrophic. During negotiations, Dr. Monroe makes a breakthrough discovery in the crashed ship's data cores. The displacement drive didn't fail due to a design flaw. It was sabotaged. Deep in the ship's event logs, hidden in corrupted files that took 30 years to fully decrypt, is evidence of internal conflict among the Kithrin crew. One faction believed the hierarchy's policy of technological hoarding was wrong and deliberately damaged the drive to crash the ship on Earth, leaving behind working technology as a gift to humanity. This revelation changes everything. The crashed ship wasn't an accident or abandoned trash. It was a deliberate act of rebellion against Kithrin policy. When Ambassador Cross presents this evidence to Overseer Dravik, it triggers a philosophical crisis within the Kithrin fleet. Dravik is forced to confront uncomfortable truths about his own civilization. The hierarchy maintains its power through technological superiority, deliberately keeping potential rival species in a state of permanent inferiority. The crashed ship's crew, considered martyrs who died in a tragic accident, were actually revolutionaries who believed advanced civilizations had a moral obligation to uplift others rather than suppress them. The crisis peaks when a third party enters the system. The Vakros Dominion, a predatory empire that exists at the fringes of known space, has been monitoring the Kithrin presence in Earth's system. They see an opportunity, a primitive world with limited defenses and a small Kithran force far from reinforcement. The Vakros send a battle group, intending to conquer Earth and seize the reverse-engineered technology for themselves. Their arrival forces an immediate decision from Dravik: abandon the primitive humans to their fate and preserve Kithran neutrality with the Dominion, or defend Earth and risk war with a dangerous enemy. Captain Wright doesn't wait for the Kithrans to decide. The Valiant engages the Vakros fleet directly, demonstrating the full capability of human innovation. The ship's displacement drive, modified by human engineers, can make rapid micro-jumps that Kithran vessels can't match. Its weapon systems combine Kithran energy principles with human ballistic concepts, creating hybrid armaments that surprise the Vakros with their effectiveness. The battle is desperate. The Valiant is outnumbered and outgunned, but Wright uses every advantage: knowledge of local space, superior maneuverability, and tactical creativity that the Vakros don't expect from a supposedly primitive species. Lieutenant Hayes keeps the displacement drive running far beyond its rated specifications, while Commander Lang coordinates point defense systems that blend Kithran shields with Earth's own kinetic barriers. The turning point comes when Dr. Monroe, working frantically from the ground facility, discovers the final secret in the crashed ship's data cores. The Kithran crew didn't just sabotage their own ship, they left behind complete technical specifications for a weapon the hierarchy had deemed too dangerous to deploy: a displacement torpedo that could teleport explosive payloads directly through enemy shields. The weapon had never been built because the Kithrans considered it destabilizing to galactic balance. Humanity, facing extinction, has no such qualms. Working from Monroe's transmitted specifications, Hayes and his engineering team fabricate a prototype displacement torpedo in the middle of the battle, using components stripped from Earth's orbital manufacturing stations. The first test is also the first combat deployment. The Valiant fires a single torpedo at the Vakros flagship. The weapon disappears in a shimmer of displaced space-time and reappears inside the enemy vessel's shield envelope, detonating with devastating effect. The flagship, a massive dreadnought that outmassed the Valiant 3-1, breaks apart in a catastrophic explosion. The remaining Vakros vessels, shocked by the loss of their commander and flagship, withdraw from Earth space. The battle's aftermath forces a complete reassessment of Earth's place in the galaxy. The Kithran High Command, observing the engagement, realizes that humanity cannot be dismissed or suppressed. The displacement torpedo, now proven in combat, represents a genuine strategic threat. More importantly, humanity's ability to innovate and adapt alien technology so quickly marks them as a uniquely dangerous civilization. Overseer Dravik, who chose to aid the Valiant during the final moments of the battle by providing targeting data on Vakros vessels, faces charges of violating hierarchy neutrality doctrines. His defense is simple: the humans were defending themselves from unprovoked aggression with technology that was freely given to them by Kithran citizens. The crashed ship's crew may have violated regulations, but their actions were morally justified. The trial becomes a referendum on hierarchy policy itself. Younger Kithran officers and scientists, inspired by humanity's achievements, begin questioning whether technological suppression serves any purpose beyond maintaining the power of established civilizations. A reform movement emerges within Kithran society, arguing for a new approach to contact with developing species. For Earth, the crisis accelerates everything. Ambassador Cross negotiates humanity's first formal treaty with an alien civilization, not as supplicants or primitives, but as a recognized power with legitimate territorial claims and defensive capabilities. The treaty is limited, focused primarily on technology exchange and mutual defense protocols, but it establishes precedent. Dr. Monroe is appointed to lead a joint human-Kithran research initiative, examining the ethical and practical implications of rapid technological transfer. The crashed ship, once a closely guarded secret, becomes a monument to the Kithran crew members who chose principle over policy. Captain Wright and the Valiant are hailed as heroes, but Wright remains troubled by how close Earth came to destruction. In a conversation with Admiral Henderson, he expresses concern that humanity's rapid advancement has made them a target. Other civilizations will fear what the displacement torpedo represents, and fear often leads to preemptive action. Henderson agrees but points out that there's no going back. Humanity can't unlearn what it has discovered or return to ignorance of the galactic community. The only path forward is to become strong enough that attacking Earth is too costly to contemplate, while wise enough to avoid becoming the kind of civilization that hoards technology and suppresses others. The story ends with the Valiant undergoing refit and expansion. New crew members arrive, including several Kithran exchange officers, the first non-humans to serve aboard an Earth vessel. Lieutenant Hayes presents plans for a second-generation displacement drive based on combined human and Kithran engineering principles, one that might finally allow true interstellar travel. Dr. Monroe stands in the Mojave facility, looking at the empty cradle where the crashed Kithran ship once rested. She thinks about the crew members who sacrificed everything to give humanity a chance, and about the responsibility that comes with the gift they provided. The galaxy is vast, dangerous, and full of civilizations both friendly and hostile. Earth is no longer isolated, and humanity must prove worthy of the trust placed in them. Captain Wright receives new orders. The Valiant will lead humanity's first diplomatic and exploration mission beyond the solar system, carrying Ambassador Cross and a full contact team to formally introduce Earth to the wider galactic community. The mission is dangerous, but Wright recognizes it as necessary. Humanity must be seen as more than just clever scavengers who weaponized abandoned technology. They must prove themselves as a civilization capable of contributing to galactic society. The final scene shows the Valiant departing Earth orbit, its displacement drive charging for the first true interstellar jump attempted by a human vessel. Across the ship, crew members prepare for the unknown. In engineering, Hayes monitors systems that push the boundaries of both human and Kithran understanding. On the bridge, Wright gives the order to jump. The Valiant disappears in a flash of displaced spacetime, carrying humanity's hopes and fears into a galaxy that will never be the same. What the Kithrans dismissed as trash, humanity transformed into a symbol of their potential. The failed ship became a weapon, but more importantly, it became a bridge between civilizations and a catalyst for change that will reshape galactic politics for generations to come. The alien vessel dumped on Earth as worthless debris turned out to be anything but. In humanity's hands, it became exactly what its crew intended, a tool for breaking down barriers and challenging the status quo. The galaxy's established powers will have to accept a new reality. Humanity has arrived, and they bring with them ideas that threaten comfortable assumptions about technological hierarchy and the proper order of civilizations. The story closes with a transmission from the Valiant, sent back to Earth as the ship completes its first successful interstellar jump. Captain Wright's voice is calm but carries unmistakable pride. Jump successful, navigation verified. We have crossed the threshold. Humanity is no longer bound to a single star. The future begins now. The narrative explores the concept of technological inheritance and what civilizations owe to each other. The Kithran crew who crashed the ship believed that hoarding advanced technology was morally wrong, that progress belonged to all intelligent species rather than being jealously guarded by the powerful. Their sacrifice represents a rejection of the galactic status quo. Humanity's response to the crashed ship demonstrates both the species' adaptability and its willingness to take risks. Rather than simply studying the alien technology as a curiosity, humans immediately recognized its potential and worked to integrate it into their own systems. This pragmatic approach, combined with innovative thinking that sees possibilities where the original designers saw limitations, becomes humanity's defining characteristic. The story also examines the responsibility that comes with rapid technological advancement. Earth goes from complete isolation to possessing weapons that frighten established galactic powers in just 3 decades. This creates tension between the need for self-defense and the danger of becoming perceived as a threat. Ambassador Cross and the diplomatic corps represent humanity's attempt to balance strength with wisdom, ensuring that Earth's emergence doesn't trigger the very conflicts they hope to avoid. The relationship between Dravik and the human characters illustrates how first contact can challenge both sides' assumptions. Dravik begins seeing humanity as primitives who stole Kithrin property, but comes to recognize them as genuine peers whose different perspective on technology and progress might actually be more ethical than his own civilization's approach. His character arc represents the possibility of change within established systems. The displacement drive technology central to the story operates by temporarily shifting matter into a higher dimensional space where conventional physical distances don't apply, then returning it to normal space at a different location. The Kithrin version requires enormous amounts of energy and sophisticated control systems, making it practical only for large vessels on long-distance journeys. Human engineers, working with more limited resources, couldn't replicate the full capability of the Kithrin drive. However, they discovered that short-range jumps within a single star system required exponentially less power and precision. By sacrificing interstellar range, they created a tactical mobility system that Kithrin designers never considered because it didn't fit their strategic doctrine of long-distance empire building. The displacement torpedo represents the weaponization of the same principle. By scaling down the technology to fit inside a missile form, and accepting that the payload would be destroyed in the process, humans created a one-shot weapon that could bypass conventional defenses. The Kithrins never built such weapons because their entire military doctrine assumed that shields were impenetrable and that battles were won through sustained firepower exchanges. The torpedo's existence forces a complete reassessment of galactic naval warfare. The Valiant itself is a hybrid design, combining the salvaged Kithrin displacement core with human-built superstructure, weapons, and control systems. It looks nothing like a traditional Kithrin vessel, which tend toward elegant, streamlined designs optimized for displacement drive efficiency. The Valiant is bulkier, more heavily armored, and carries redundant systems that Kithrin engineers would consider wasteful. These design differences reflect humanity's lack of confidence in technology they don't fully understand, leading to over-engineering that actually provides unexpected advantages in combat. Earth in 2157 is a unified civilization, but only barely. The discovery of the crashed alien ship forced unprecedented cooperation between nations, but old tensions remain beneath the surface. The United Earth Defense Force represents a compromise between maintaining some national military structures and creating a genuine planetary defense organization. Admiral Henderson constantly navigates political pressures from various Earth governments who want more control over alien technology and the strategic advantages it provides. The Xenotechnology Research Institute operates as a semi-autonomous organization, answering to an international oversight committee, but given broad authority to pursue research directions as its scientists see fit. Dr. Monroe has fought constant battles to maintain this independence, knowing that political interference would slow progress to a crawl. The Kithrin hierarchy is a multi-species civilization that has existed for over 10,000 years. They maintain stability through a combination of technological superiority and carefully managed integration of new member species. Client civilizations are given access to advanced technology slowly, over centuries, ensuring they never pose a threat to the core hierarchy worlds. This system has prevented major wars for millennia, but has also created stagnation and resentment among younger species who chafe under permanent second-class status. The Vakros Dominion represents the opposite extreme, an aggressive expansionist empire that conquers rather than negotiates. They are feared throughout the galactic frontier, but their military strength is focused on overwhelming less advanced civilizations. Against peer opponents, they tend to avoid direct confrontation. Their attack on Earth was opportunistic, assuming the humans would be easy prey. Captain Wright begins the story confident in his abilities but uncertain about Earth's future. He knows the Valiant is impressive by human standards, but assumes it's primitive compared to true alien warships. The battle with the Vakros forces him to trust in human ingenuity and to recognize that innovation can be as valuable as raw technological superiority. By the end, he leads the first interstellar mission not with trepidation, but with genuine confidence in humanity's ability to hold its own among the stars. Dr. Monroe's arc involves coming to terms with the ethical implications of her life's work. She dedicated 30 years to weaponizing alien technology, always justifying it as necessary for Earth's defense. The revelation that the Kithrin crew deliberately gave humanity their technology as a gift transforms her understanding of what that responsibility means. She moves from viewing herself as a thief of alien secrets to recognizing her role as a steward of knowledge meant to be shared. Overseer Dravik undergoes the most dramatic transformation. He starts as a by-the-book military officer, enforcing hierarchy policy without question. Contact with humanity forces him to confront the contradictions in his civilization's approach to less advanced species. His decision to aid the Valiant against the Vakros is both a personal moral choice and a rejection of the doctrine that technological power should determine diplomatic relationships. Commander Lang provides a counterpoint to Wright's growing optimism. She remains skeptical throughout, questioning whether humanity is ready for the responsibilities and dangers of galactic citizenship. Her concerns aren't proven wrong exactly, but the successful defense of Earth and the diplomatic breakthrough with the Kithrin show that caution must be balanced with courage. Lieutenant Hayes represents youthful enthusiasm and technical brilliance, but his arc involves learning the limits of innovation. The displacement torpedo works, but its development in the middle of battle was reckless and nearly failed multiple times. He ends the story with greater appreciation for careful testing and safety protocols, even as he continues pushing technological boundaries. Ambassador Cross faces the challenge of establishing diplomatic protocols with alien civilization that have millennia of experience and cynical expectations about how primitive species behave. Her success comes from refusing to play the role of supplicant, instead insisting on respect and reciprocity from the beginning. She establishes Earth's diplomatic voice as confident and principled, setting the tone for all future interactions. The story balances action sequences with quieter moments of character development and world building. The opening introduces the Valiant and establishes Wright's character through patrol routine, then escalates with the detection of the Kithrin fleet. The first contact sequence builds tension through miscommunication and cultural differences rather than immediate violence. The middle section slows down to explore the history of the crashed ship through flashbacks integrated into present-day negotiations and investigations. This provides necessary background while maintaining forward momentum through the developing diplomatic crisis. The battle with the Vakros serves as the climactic action sequence, but the story doesn't end there. The aftermath and its political implications receive equal attention, emphasizing that military victory alone doesn't solve the fundamental challenges of Earth's emergence into galactic society. The ending provides resolution while opening doors for future stories. Earth's immediate survival is secured, but the larger questions about humanity's role in the galaxy and the response from other civilizations remain open. The Valiant's departure on its diplomatic mission serves as both an ending and a beginning. The story requires distinct voices for human and alien characters. Kithrin's speech patterns tend toward formal precision and hierarchical address forms. Dravik uses military terminology and refers to regulations and procedures frequently, reflecting his background. Younger Kithrin characters show slight variations, using more colloquial expressions that suggest generational differences. Human characters speak more informally, even in military contexts. Captain Wright balances professional command language with moments of dry humor. Dr. Monroe tends towards scientific precision in her speech, sometimes catching herself using technical jargon and translating for non-specialists. Ambassador Cross demonstrates diplomatic skill through careful word choice, always aware of how her statements might be interpreted by multiple audiences. The Vacross, appearing only briefly, use aggressive, blunt language that emphasizes strength and dominance. This contrasts with both Kithran formality and human pragmatism, establishing them quickly as a different kind of threat. The story includes several sequences designed for visual impact in the reader's imagination. The Valiant's first appearance should convey both its impressive scale and its hybrid nature, clearly showing Kithran design elements integrated into a fundamentally human structure. The bridge combines sleek alien control interfaces with more familiar human displays and controls, creating a visual metaphor for technological integration. The crash site flashback presents the alien vessel as mysterious and otherworldly, half buried in desert sand with strange geometries that don't quite make sense to human eyes. The contrast between this scene and the later depiction of the empty facility, stripped clean of all technology, shows the completeness of human salvage operations. The battle with the Vacross requires clear spatial choreography. The Valiant's displacement jumps create dynamic movement as the ship appears and disappears across the battlefield. The Vacross vessels should feel massive and threatening, their weapons tearing through space with devastating power. The displacement torpedo sequence needs to clearly convey the moment of transition, the torpedo vanishing from normal space and reappearing inside enemy shields for maximum dramatic impact. The final scene of the Valiant's interstellar jump should feel momentous, the culmination of 30 years of human effort and the beginning of a new era. The visual should emphasize both the ship's power and its fragility, humanity's greatest achievement heading into the unknown. While the displacement drive is speculative technology, the story treats the engineering challenges and solutions with internal consistency. The salvaged Kithran core can't simply be plugged into a human ship. It requires complete redesign of power systems, structural support, and control interfaces. The fact that this takes 30 years of intensive research feels realistic rather than convenient. The weapon systems blend plausible near-future human technology with alien enhancements. Earth's kinetic barriers are based on magnetic field manipulation and point defense lasers, extensions of current research. The Kithran energy shields operate on principles humanity doesn't fully understand but can replicate through careful engineering. This creates a technological hierarchy that feels earned rather than arbitrary. The displacement torpedo's one-shot nature comes from fundamental physics limitations. The energy required to displace matter is immense, and focusing it into a small package means there's no room for the sophisticated recovery systems that allow ships to jump repeatedly. This makes the weapon powerful but not infinitely spammable, maintaining tension in combat sequences. The story should evoke several specific emotional responses from readers. Pride in human achievement when the Valiant demonstrates capabilities that surprise the Kithrans. Tension during the standoff when Earth's survival hangs in the balance. Satisfaction when the true purpose of the crashed ship is revealed. Fear during the Vacross attack when humanity faces an enemy that doesn't care about diplomacy or mercy. Triumph when the displacement torpedo works and the tide of battle turns. The quieter moments should feel equally important. Wright's private doubts about whether he's equal to the responsibility of command. Monroe's sense of connection to the long-dead Kithran crew who made her life's work possible. Dravik's growing realization that everything he believed about the hierarchy's benevolence might be wrong. These emotional beats provide depth and prevent the story from being purely action-driven. The ending should leave readers feeling hopeful but aware of challenges ahead. Earth has survived and earned recognition, but the galaxy is vast and full of dangers. Humanity's journey is just beginning, and while they've proven themselves once, they'll need to keep proving themselves again and again. The title's premise, that aliens dumped their failed ship and humanity weaponized it, is both literally true and metaphorically incomplete. Yes, humans built weapons from salvaged technology, but they also built bridges, tools for exploration and platforms for diplomacy. The Valiant is a warship, but it's also a statement about humanity's refusal to be victims of circumstance. The crashed ship failed in its original purpose of testing Kithrin displacement technology, but succeeded completely in its crew's actual goal of giving humanity a chance to join the galactic community on their own terms. The question of what constitutes failure and success depends entirely on which objectives you value. The story argues that technological advantage alone doesn't determine worth or destiny. The Kithrins had superior technology but inferior philosophy, maintaining stability through suppression rather than genuine cooperation. Humanity, working with salvaged equipment and incomplete understanding, demonstrated the innovation and moral courage that comes from having to fight for every achievement rather than inheriting a comfortable position. The final message is one of cautious optimism. The galaxy isn't fair, and being right doesn't guarantee survival. But intelligence, creativity, and the willingness to help others can change the established order. The crashed ship was meant to break down barriers, and in humanity's hands, it has done exactly that. Now comes the harder work of building something better than what existed before.